So here's the deal. This is Hoppy Mellow. We're getting off the chain. We're starting the podcast. The chain gang has left the station without me, and I'm trying to, bring them back in so that we can actually talk about this on the show tonight because we got a lot of NASCAR racing action to break down on this thing, this mofo. So just pause real quick. Hold that thought. We'll get right back to it. Willie be bringing up headlines already. Willie T-Bone Hadley, have you not had your T-bone steak tonight, Willie? You just hungry as a dog?
You know what? Actually, I did have a T-bone with 2 sunny-side eggs on it. It was damn $7.99 down at the food dog through tomorrow night.
Hey, always look on the sunny side of a T-bone.
Why would you ruin a steak by putting eggs on top of it?
Hey, there's a reason steak and eggs has been on the IHOP menu as a staple for quite some time, Checky. And it's not just any steak, it's a T-bone.
Right on top of it? Like, why can't you put it to the side?
That's more for folks that just like to get right to the point.
Yeah.
Checky Swags, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing quite well, thank you. Even though I haven't had a steak, but I'm happy. I'm ready to go. We got lots of things to cover. Bristol was exciting.
It was, but since y'all want to talk about Sherry and Danica and Martin Truex Jr., we're going to have to start right there. I had it on my notes, but we're going to have to start right there because Willie is surfacing this tweet from Danica.
He is. But let's do the thing first because we have to pay our respects. So let's start there, and then we can diverge and go into an unsavory direction. Can we do that first?
So Sherry passed away this past weekend. That's the headline.
He did. MTJ's I want to say longtime girlfriend, but they weren't actively together, but they were together like forever. Not forever, but a really long time.
They were together for many years. People often ask, like, why aren't they married? Stuff like that. That was their own damn business. I have some splaining to do, but I'm waiting for a moment. Go ahead.
Okay. So Sherry Pollock has, and many people know, has been in an ongoing ovarian cancer battle, and she lost her battle this weekend, which is very, very sad. We found out Sunday morning-ish. And so lots of NASCAR types were putting out, like, their sentiments over tweets, like what a, great inspiration she was. She's so wonderful with children. Everyone fond wishes, super sad, all that kind of stuff as one would expect because she had a tremendous impact on the NASCAR community and the larger community and cancer fight and all that good stuff. So go ahead and continue on.
So here's the thing. People always ask, like, well, why didn't they get married? And first of all, nobody knows for sure except them. That's their own damn business. But my theory on it always was that they were much more practical about this shit because the reality is when she got, if you read Jeff Gluck's article, he reminded everybody that when she got diagnosed with that cancer, they gave her like about 5 years to live, max. And she ended up living 9 years through, multiple reasons why I'm sure she lived that long. And but if you know that you're going to be facing essentially a battle with cancer until it gets the best of you, which was the likely scenario, then you have multiple reasons not to marry a multimillionaire race car driver that are just logical. And what I've always thought about that is why if Sherry needed, treatment and she didn't, have the money or whatever, if you're married and your husband does have the money, that changes things. If she ended up racking up a lot of debt for treatments over time, which was unpredictable as to how that would go or what care she would need, and they're married, then Truex is exposed to that risk. So there's a very practical financial reason why you wouldn't get married in that scenario when you know that information. Now,
you're killing me, Hoppy, with this. You're killing me. This is MPJ's a multi-million-dollar dude, and you're telling me he can't pay,
I didn't say he couldn't pay. I never said he couldn't pay. I just said,
say like it's a practical thing that a multi-millionaire should be concerned about not marrying the person he's been with for years.
I'm saying that it wouldn't surprise me, given how pragmatic both of those two people are, that they just said, you know what, we're happy being together. We don't need to be married. It's going to make all this other shit more complicated and complex, so we're not getting married. And knowing how simple Truex is about this stuff, like, it wouldn't surprise me if that was at least a factor in it, among other reasons. I don't know.
That would make me very sad if that were true. I have a similar spin about practicality, but in a very different light. Maybe this is because I am the fairer gender, that I have the perspective.
Well, no, I have another parallel reason.
Okay.
And maybe it's the same one, Checky, but it's simply that she knew where, this was headed, and I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't want to do that to Martin, as far as being married, being committed, at that level, knowing she was, potentially going to need, what kind of care, not being able to travel, whatever, all the things that you have potential anxiety out while trying to play that out in your mind. And maybe, it's entirely possible, if she really loved him, that she didn't want to go down that path with him, knowing what she was in for, that they could still support each other, and in many ways without being married.
If you love someone, set them free, right?
That's right. That's the wisdom of women. Now,
yes,
I'm just saying,
in a different light, Willie, but yeah.
Now, that's another practical, explainable reason why they may never have decided to get married. Now, what would you like to add to that list, Checky?
So here's my thought. So like, I can imagine if one were in a precarious, ongoing medical situation, that you might want to, you love somebody, you care for them more than anything, but you don't want to put them through something because you love them, and you know how difficult that is going to be for you, and you don't want to you're not going to make them, right? Hopefully someone goes through these things willingly with you as a partner in life, but you want to bring them on that journey. And yes, Martin has a very unique job, and he travels a lot and all that good stuff. And maybe she just kind of made a decision, who knows? This is all speculation, right? But made a decision, I love you, but this is what's best for me, for us, because my future is, uncertain, and the future is always uncertain, but with someone with a prognosis as such, that could be very difficult, and you just don't want to hurt somebody any more than, you have to, because I imagine that's sad anyway, right? You're going to be sad that you've been together for however many years it was, and things, you go different directions. That's sad. But yeah, I could totally see that. Like, somebody could still love the other person, but like, we just need to have this arrangement because it's too painful for me to watch me go through this or whatever. So yeah.
Right. So now we fast forward to today. The cancer came back, unfortunately, and God only knows what she went through. But the reality is, with all of this, the whole time, they were both pretty private about the specifics of what was going on. And we know Martin Truex Jr. is the guy who likes to still go hunting during the week. He has Twitter account because somebody basically made him. He doesn't type tweets. He doesn't give a damn about that. He just said on a recent interview that sometimes he'll not check his phone for a day or two. What driver can get away with that? Well, MTJ fucking can. And so that's how he is. Now, do you really think, let's just assume that there was not bad blood between them or something like that, which is hard for me to imagine, that after everything they went through together, that they would be like, fuck you, and then somebody dies. I seriously doubt that was the case. So
right.
Are you trying to tell me that you think Martin Truex Jr., who doesn't tweet for fun, after, this horrible day finally arriving, that he's going to go fucking update Twitter with a statement that he writes? Hell fucking no, he's not going to write that. He's going to say to whoever does it, they were probably like, look, we'll do it for you. You just make sure it's okay. We'll take care of everything, Martin. He's like, fine. Okay. And then that's what happened. So yeah, maybe it was written by a PR person, but fuck Danica. Like, fuck her for criticizing it when she doesn't fucking know. She's not in the loop.
Right. And nobody knows why you're saying that about Danica yet. But MTJ's statement, perhaps, if y'all can obviously go read it on Twitter or wherever you're going to read it. It doesn't sound, maybe, like, I don't know MTJ from anybody really.
It sounds like a PR person wrote it. I get that.
And that hurts my heart. And it, like, because, out of respect for, like, her and the relationship, I can't help but want a little more like,
Of course,
I don't
but
want
it's
him to be in pain, but I want it to like feel like he means it. You know what I mean? Like he means like, oh my gosh, this is so sorry and blessing. You know,
But
like
that's the thing is he doesn't. I
just like
mean,
God.
you would think all the people that really know Martin or really are involved in that relationship or the relationship that Martin has with Sherry's family, he's talking to them directly. He's,
Uh,
he's probably,
yeah,
the people he cares about what they think. He's with them or talking to them or whatever.
100%. Yeah.
So he doesn't give a shit about what anybody on Twitter thinks ultimately. And so somebody else took care of it for him. That's the way he likes shit done because he doesn't do social or whatever. And that's just how Martin is. So for Danica to come along and quote tweet that statement and then basically talk shit about Martin at a level that was just like totally unnecessary. Like, what the fuck is Danica thinking? She is a fucking mental case. Like, if you have such
drugs, I think she's on this. I think her ex-boyfriend got her on that damn that peyote shit. She likes to go to the damn Burning Man. She's probably hanging out in her room in the dark.
And the way she like couched it with like, oh, I'm not usually negative on social media. I keep it as far away from me as possible. But like, what the fuck is her? Is she has lost her fucking mind.
Yeah,
that is the dumbest thing I have ever written.
And just really, it's. I don't know what she.
What the fuck is she accomplishing?
Had an opinion, and she wanted to like share her thoughts on the matter, but I don't know what she thought people were going to see or think of her in the context, right? I honestly don't know how
attention whore.
I don't get it. I really don't get it. I'm like, wow. Yeah, I was shocked to see that.
I mean, it's just a weird emotional attention thing. And she has like daddy issues and so she probably has these like emotional perception issues of Martin and what happened and the statement and whatever. She doesn't freaking know. So that is like the dumbest thing I have ever seen, I think. I mean, that it was so dumb. All right. So we spent the first 12 something minutes of this podcast talking about how stupid that is. Danica didn't even deserve that. So anyways, if we want to talk about
I
blame Willie for bringing her up. He's always trying to insert her in my life. Willie, go to hell.
I saw that like 2 minutes before we were supposed to record, so I said it. Sorry.
What do you think, Willie? You're the one that got this going.
Yeah, I think she did too many drugs. And there's a reason why Spinhouse didn't want to marry her.
Yeah. Or Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
Gosh. Poor girl. Now you make me feel bad for her. She's getting tossed.
Look, you can't fix cray. You just
that's just such
and she'd be cray.
Terrible.
I don't think you can really argue that she's not cray.
Oh, Lord.
So that's the deal.
I saw a picture of her at Burning Man. It might have been Photoshop, but it was interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, I'm sure she'd like the attention. But all right, we got a whole race to talk about, y'all. That's Bristol. So Hamlin finally breaks through. He embraces all the shit talking like he's been doing. I think Hamlin has officially entered the zone. And it reminds me like of when Kyle Busch came back from that broken leg and he was just locked in. It reminds me of last year in the playoffs when Joey Logano went out and won Vegas and he was locked in. Hamlin has the eye of the tiger right now. And he even said this year feels different. So I think all the time of him getting in his head, needing the sports psychologist, maybe being self-conscious or just distracted or not confident or whatever. I don't think any of that stuff is present in Denny Hamlin right now. I think it's all been sort of matured out of him, burned away by the crucible of everything he's been through. And I'd say right now, I really think he's the favorite to win this championship, y'all. What do y'all think?
Well, it's kind of hard to argue. He seems to be clutch and come through, and I definitely don't think he minds one bit with the haters. And I think a lot of people could say that, but I really think he doesn't care. He likes to hear the noise, regardless of whether it's a cheer which he talks about on his podcast, that he sees more, Denny Hamlin t-shirts, and he's excited about that. And he has more people, like, people will flip him off, they boo him, whatever. He doesn't seem to care as long as they're making noise for him. He genuinely seems to be happy and indifferent. So more power to him, I guess. I think he's embraced like the villain role exceptionally well. Like he just couldn't care less what anybody thinks. Either get on the bandwagon or don't. I don't care. I'm going to win anyway. Which, good for him that he can not care that much about it. So that's cool.
Yeah, he's in the zone. Willie, are you a Hamlin fan yet?
I listened to the podcast, which he ruined the poll for me today.
Yeah, he counterfeited me too.
Yeah, so
does that mean I win?
No, we already established there's no winning by default.
Oh, come on. Jeez. I'm running unopposed again.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
but we'll still let you guess for fun, Jackie.
Okay.
He's okay. I like how he like embraces the you don't like me tough shit.
So would that be like he says he really likes that people are making noise and that it's louder than it's ever been one way or the other, and he just wants people to make noise. So does that mean the way to really get under his skin is to just like make t-shirts that say like Denny Hamlin, the okayest driver, whatever?
I'm not cheering or booing for this driver.
Yes.
They should all do for him what Bubba wanted them to do, which is shush and be quiet. So if they did that and it was just like crickets, then he would probably be pissed.
Yeah, well, I mean, Denny, to his credit though, Denny, had that speeding penalty on pit road where he cut inside too far. And so he was speeding by shortening the distance too much. And that's a tricky speeding penalty. And when that happened, I figured, oh, yep, there's Denny. That's how he's going to lose this one. But I'll be damned if he didn't get back up there. And, 500 laps at Bristol, if you are one of those guys who can pass, and he did say on his podcast today, he was one of the few guys whose car was working at the same speed on the top or the bottom, which meant, he was fast and he could go in whichever lane he needed to. So, that's what allowed him to do it. Whereas Larson, I noticed, really was the first one to consistently venture up high. Not surprising, but Larson was definitely committed to making that high line work earlier than other people, and that's part of how Larson got his track position, because he did not have a good qualifying run at all. So, but it was not a big surprise that when it came down to the end of the race that it was Hamlin versus Larson ultimately. That's kind of what people expected going into the weekend. So that's what we got. Now, I predicted that Harvick would win this race, thinking he would bring it, and he's been in the mix at Bristol before, and they were going to leave no stone unturned. And I'll be damned if he wasn't in left fucking field. I have no idea how Harvick could possibly have had that bad of a car.
That was so hard to watch. I just felt
bizarre.
like my heart was breaking for him. I'm like, this is terrible.
Yeah, it was like it almost. I mean, there were like a few races, remember, in Jimmy Johnson's last season where he was just out to lunch, and you were like, what's going on here? It reminded me of that.
Yeah, that was just real.
I just had tires on the right side. That's what it seemed how bad he was.
Yeah.
Right. Like an Austin Dillon move. He's done that a few times, I think. Which obviously he didn't, the crew did, but whatever.
Championship over there, remember?
So it's definitely sad that Harvick was eliminated, especially with such a poor showing that he couldn't really race it out. It was anticlimactic. He couldn't really even cheer for him because he was like 4 or 5 laps down on his own lap, and it was almost like someone was broken on the car backwards. Something was weird wrong.
Yeah,
and
I was rooting for him though, Hoppy. He was like, what was he, like 3 laps down? But he was only 4 points back, and I was just really hoping that something would happen because it's Bristol, right? Shit happens.
Yeah, I mean, if there had been
something was going to happen, and he didn't need like to get on the lead lap. He just needed
he needed a pile up on a restart.
Oh.
And there weren't any restarts, and that was honestly, if as somebody who enjoys Bristol, I still like watching Bristol. I like watching the racing. I think certainly if you could have gone to this race in person, I'm sure it would have been fun to watch in person because there's always stuff to watch in person at Bristol. But watching it on TV, I'll say that it just, it left a lot to be desired as far as like drama, things being entertaining. I mean, obviously, so Martin Truex Jr. got by on the skin of his teeth, along with a few other guys like Bubba. But I don't know if you guys remember this, but I couldn't stop talking about it after it happened, which is on the very first caution, the Truex's team brought him down pit road, and then he came back out like 11th or 12th or something. Instead of, if he had stayed out, he would have restarted the race as the leader in front of Corey LaJoie. Where did LaJoie finish that stage? Second or third it was.
Right.
And so I'm like, how, when you need every single point possible and something wasn't broken on the car or anything like that, like they just decided to bring him down. And they gave up like 8 points doing that. And I was like, if he misses this right now, it's going to be because of that very first pit call. And I'm like, normally James Small is on it. And I'm like, what the hell were they thinking?
I got nothing for you, Hoppy. I don't know what they were thinking. I'm not sure. I mean, but hindsight obviously always 2020. But when you saw Corey out there and like not dominating, but like doing just fine, right? I was like, wow, I was not exactly expecting that.
Well, as hard as it is to pass, I mean, as soon as the caution came out, I think he was running at that time, and like, he started 5th, and I think he gave up a spot on the start, and he was running either 6th or 7th when the caution came out. And as soon as it came out, the words came right out of my mouth: stay out, stay out, stay out, stay out. Assuming, yeah, of course they're going to stay out. And I could not believe it. So I'm really glad that didn't cost him this year's championship run, because it's not like Truex is known for having great Bristol runs. So it's like when you have a driver that doesn't have a great track record at a track like this, I understand the desire to keep fresh tires on him, but that's outweighed by the desire to keep him out front for as long as possible and get stage points. So
yeah, I think you just have to manage the attrition rate. And when I say attrition, I don't mean like going in the garage. I mean like the fall off and how quickly guys are losing spots, right? With that whole you can't pass. And then unless it's egregious, then right, keep them out for a little bit.
Yeah, it was weird. So, but thank goodness he made it, and now the points are reset, and that's one thing, you love or hate about this playoff format is MTJ's back where he should be after winning the regular season. And there were people that were, saying, there were people saying on both sides, MTJ should get a pass for the first round or shouldn't get a pass for the first round, whatever. But I think, it played out how it should have. The only reason he made the next round was because of those bonus points from winning the regular season. Without those, he was sunk. So I think the system worked as intended.
Oh yeah.
And he had a little bit lucky, which never hurts.
Yeah. Now,
to think that you were literally on the cusp of not continuing, and when they re-rack, you're in second place, that's not too shabby, man.
Yeah. Now, speaking of luck, do y'all remember me complaining that this year was the first year that I didn't bet on Martin Truex Jr. to win the championship? And so I didn't have my season-long bet. Well, it occurred to me, I'm like, well, Truex is on the outside looking in right now. So, because before, he had those 2 bad races, he was one of the favorites for the championship, and it was paying out like only 4-1 for him to win the championship. And so I'm like, well, right now has got to be the best possible odds you can still get Truex at. So I pulled it up, and sure enough, he was paying 8.5-1 before Bristol. And so I'm like, well, this is as good as the odds as I'm going to get. And my gamble is he makes it through. This bet is live. He doesn't make it through. This bet is dead as a doornail as soon as I make it. But I went ahead and bet on him at 8.5-1. And then I checked it again today, and now it's back to 5-1. So I guess you could say that was, if you're still going to bet on Truex, that was the time to do it. So yeah. Hopefully he can win the damn championship. Now, some other guys that, I don't think anybody's too surprised by McDowell and Stenhouse getting eliminated. Willie, do you think, Stenhouse did his job, right? He ran out there, he ran 10th, he made it interesting. The points were basically tight, really, through the whole bottom 4 that were eliminated, because McDowell and Stenhouse ran good, Logano got wrecked, and Harvick was laps down, and Truex was not running good. So it was the points battle itself was pretty intense. Checky, how satisfied were you with the real-time points display in this race on the TV?
Yes. Yes. I mean, it was just super helpful. And I know Willie doesn't agree with us, but why can't that be more common throughout? It doesn't have to be plastered all the time. I don't need up to the minute updates all throughout the race, but it's just nice to kind of know. And I don't have a dog in that fight, but if you've got drivers and you're just curious, you should be able to find out.
Well, I'm okay with their cutoff races. The problem is,
no, I know that. No, we need more information, Willie.
Nah, I don't want to see it. If there's 3 races in a round, I don't want to see it till the 3rd race.
You wrong, Willie. You wrong.
Yeah, Willie. You don't have to look at it. Just ignore it.
And then just post on Twitter the wrong numbers as they run.
Yeah. Well, I felt like the coverage of the points was better on the TV this time, so I didn't get distracted by that.
Pockers, he'll post the points, but he doesn't take into account where they are on the track.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's the stages.
And how lucky were we all that we actually got the whole race in? I was convinced after looking at the forecast all day that there was no race happening.
Yeah, I thought it'd be tonight, to be honest, to finish out. I really did. I wasn't sure.
I probably would have sold them, not gone.
The stands definitely were not packed. So some people might have done just that, Willie. I mean, looking at the TV coverage, especially being
rain for like 24.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah, it was crazy. And the radar just, the rain just like dissipated as it went through the mountains there towards the track. So that was awesome. I feel like you don't get that too often. Yeah.
That's right.
Vortex it up.
DW.
So MTJ made it. Busher got through, even though it wasn't he did. What did he get? He got wrecked at the end of this somewhere. What happened to Busher? Something went wrong with him at some point, didn't it? Or where did he finish?
I don't remember. He finished 4th.
He was running good, wasn't he? But yeah.
Dude is solid. Like, he's just like there. He's a fixture now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And BK was 8th. I mean, they are on the fucking map in a big way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so, and I honestly thought Brad would get out front in this race, but we didn't really see a lot of Brad dominating or anything. But I had a few different people picked to win, but didn't come out on top of any of those bets this week. And I was just happy to recoup some funds with some head-to-head matchups and whatnot. But it felt like a very predictable Bristol race this fall. It's sort of like there was nothing very surprising about the way it played out. And it was not. I did not. When the race was over, I was obviously relieved that MTJ made it through. But I was sort of thinking like, well, that just wasn't what you want out of Bristol. And the problem remains, okay, they weren't shifting at this track, but they got way too much grip with these wide ass tires. And did you see a couple times in the early going when Christopher Bell was leading laps that he finally just had to, hit people out of the way? Like, he had to hit some guys hard to get them out of the way. Didn't used to be that way.
Yeah, I don't like that. And I agree with you. I think the race was not what you'd normally expect. The excitement level, although the whole Harvick storyline, not that I thought he was gangbusters and was like a guarantee to win and get in or anything like that, but it was shocking to me how bad they were. I was beside myself with like how terrible that car was, and it didn't seem like it got any better the entire time. I was floored with that outcome. I just wasn't expecting that at all. So that was definitely a shakeup for me. Not that I thought that he would be, knocking down the door for a win, but I just didn't see that coming the way it played out.
Yeah. Willie, how many naps did you take?
I fell asleep at the very end, but I did take a 2-hour nap Saturday and Sunday. It was pretty great.
So you took a nap before the race, but you still didn't make it through the race.
Yeah, I blame alcohol.
Well, now, everything resets, and it seems like everybody, in addition to talking about Truex being back up in the standings now because of the reset, everybody's also really hot on Tyler Reddick, the Reddick train. But I'll tell you, when I look at, Texas, Talladega, and Roval, I think this is where Reddick gets off the train on this round. What do y'all think?
He's good at the Roval. He should be.
I don't know, man. It's not a technical road course that he's like typically good at. Like it's I'm not saying he can't run good at the Roval. I'm just saying I don't really think of him doing well there. Plus, I mean, a lot of drivers had issues at Texas last year, kind of like Kansas style, where mile and a half stuff just going wrong. And that's the only thing that really made the Texas race interesting last year. And then, of course, you got Talladega. So, I mean, and it's not just Reddick, of course, but just like how Truex ended up with a bad Darlington and a really bad Kansas and was in trouble, watch out for who ends up in that position. Multiple guys could end up in that position. In fact, we could have a situation where so many guys have trouble in these first two races of this round that it almost like creates a different tier of points where there's multiple guys that had problems, and so they're just racing each other, and the guys that made it through clean are good. I think we could very well see something like that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
And Gluck's an idiot trying to say that Bubba should just don't worry about Texas. He should try to win Texas, Gluck. What the hell are you talking about?
What do you mean don't worry about it? Like just chill and take it easy?
When he eared down, Gluck was trying to say Bubba needs to focus on Talladega, and that's it.
Yeah,
what?
you can focus on Talladega all you want, but then you can just get easily wrecked. So what did that do you if you focus just on Talladega? So
what kind of strategy is he promoting?
Yeah, I mean it's dumb. Maybe is the word.
That's ridiculous. I mean, now I'm concerned about him. Is he all right? Like, that's just, I mean, you can be focused on it when you get there if you have to be a certain number at the end of the day or whatever. But like, why would you want to put your eggs in that basket of all baskets? Like Daytona, you don't.
He's going to suck at the Roval, I guess was the main point. But he's not. He doesn't suck at Texas.
He might suck at the Roval. I mean, but I don't remember the finish from a couple weeks ago with the last one, but he did decent, right? That was a good finish for him. So you never know. I mean, obviously you're not going to put your eggs in that basket either, but why don't you focus on the next race at hand? Put your eggs in that basket and see what you can get done, because that's going to determine what you need to do for the next one after that. So
yeah,
that's just crazy. And no more of that shushing stuff. He needs to stop that.
Yeah, so I mean, Bubba needs to hurry up and get to the mentally stable place that Denny Hamlin is at as soon as possible, because he clearly is just, I don't know. He seems
about 50 more races to get there, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's the dude's just doesn't come off as grounded, like in his own 2 feet, like. He's worried about shushing the haters and all that because it's cool or whatever to do that. Like, it made me think of how you see the NFL or NBA players doing that at away games, where they shush the crowd or whatever, or go home, buy that kind of stuff. It's just a very, sort of like Me Too thing that he was doing. And it's just a layer of distraction and provocation that it's not going to help him at all, on any level. So, I mean, I don't know what Bubba's doing, but it's almost like, he's too hyped up automatically about just making it through, he should be, happy, but he should also be like focused on like, let's go keep executing, job to do. He should just be asking himself, what would Jimmy do?
Or even what would Denny do for that matter, since it's the boss, but.
No, but that's just it. Denny is at a different level. He needs to be embracing his inner Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah. Well, I suppose. I think like, and I get it. You're hyped up. You're caught up in the moment, and you think that's like the thing to do. But given what he's shown us over time, he's not in a position to handle these high pressure situations without the meltdowns. Like, I hope that he has continued to work on himself to better himself in that way. But if it was just, and it was maybe, what was it, 3 weeks ago that I heard him, it referenced that he was talking to Scott Dixon, who had just won the Indy race. And he was basically getting feedback of like, dude, you don't suck. Like, you're here for a reason. And Bubba was literally apparently telling himself that he sucks like all the time. And I'm like, I get having self-doubt. I think that's sometimes like, that's a very natural thing to have. But if you're doubting yourself, like, it just, there's nothing good coming from that. So
Right,
how
yeah.
is it you're doing that, but then on the other hand, you're also shushing people? It doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it
Like,
doesn't
you
add up.
need
That's
to
what I'm saying. It's all this
stay in
like,
your lane, be quiet, get focused on your job. Don't listen to the noise, because he's proven that he can't like handle the noise.
right. Yeah.
So,
It's like, it's all this like sort of weird, superficial doing stuff because he thinks it's a cool thing.
yeah. Well, and MJ's your boss. I get that. And he would do that shit if he needed to, right? Like, his play, he didn't need to worry about that. You boom, if you want to, he's going to make the free throw or the dunk or what have you. Like, Bubba's just not there. So I get it, the whole fake it till you make it thing, but I don't think this is the appropriate venue to do that.
Yeah, it's not working for him. I feel like it's just more distraction. So,
Yeah.
And I mean, remember how he climbed out of the car at Daytona and was like, completely exhausted at the stress of just making the playoffs and all that? Like, all that pressure, obviously there is a lot of pressure. Yeah, there is. But like,
yeah,
I don't know, man. Like, I sort of like feel like he gets into showing now. It's like he can show how much pressure there was, and like, it's just a perception thing, almost like. And I don't think it's unique to Bubba. I think it actually he's a young driver, young guy that has spent a lot of time on social media. It feels like he's a product of social media in a lot of ways with his behavior, and not that he can't mature out of that someday, but maybe that's why Martin Truex Jr. stays the hell off of it.
Truex,
yeah, I don't think there's anything good to come from it, honestly. I mean, what benefit is there? You've got a team. The team can handle. I mean, my driver has a team or person or girlfriend's doing. Somebody's doing it. He doesn't do it. Like, it's obvious, and he could give two shits, and it's fine. Whatever. But the audience they're appealing to, right, is going to need that social media like blitz all the time, I would think.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Willie?
Truex, I understand he's a lurker. Like, he's on Twitter, like, he just doesn't post.
Yeah, and that's a good place to be, right? If he can pull that off, definitely.
Yeah, if he can do it.
Now, one thing that even though they did do a better job showing the points, I still don't think we've figured out just how to articulate through these rounds of the playoffs just how crucial these stage points and qualifying are, because they really do. When you're talking about getting down to that cutoff race and it's 3 or 4 or 5 points, I mean, damn, that's one stage finish. So I feel like maybe they should do something to show like the stage points accumulated throughout the rounds, or do something to show how drivers are, claiming and obtaining and building up those stage points each round, because it's just so. It swings it in such a different direction. Now, I do think that there was an interesting point about the stage points with the Roval, because now the stage breaks are back. And so you get put back in that strategy decision of, do you stay out for the stage points, or do you go ahead and pit because the caution's coming? And so I think, number one, that can be interesting, but that does mean that there's potentially less points available in that race, because you can only play it one way or the other. So nobody's going to go out, win stage 1, win stage 2, and win the race. So there's not really that many points available if you can't do that. What I think NASCAR should do is they should have said, okay, stage breaks are back, but at the Roval, we're going to close pit road 5 laps early or something like that instead of 2 laps early.
Brady Kraft said it a couple weeks ago, like, you just need to change the length of the stages where you can't stay out like that. Like you can't to change the strategy where you have to pit for fuel or whatever, right?
That's another option too. I don't know what I mean, I always felt like they don't run enough laps on road courses in general, so especially when they're going to stay green. So, yeah, I mean, if you have enough laps to where everybody's got to pit at some point anyway, then I guess that would, if you had that though, Willie, what you would likely have is as soon as you get to your pit window, you're going to pit.
Well, not if you're planning on staying out.
No, if you know you have to pit because you're going to run out of gas before the end of the stage, then that means everybody has to pit.
Oh, you're saying you might pit like lap 4 or 5 or something?
Yeah, as soon as you enter your window, you want to be the first to pit because then if a caution comes out, you can keep staying out.
Maybe, yeah.
So I think, that's why I suggest closing pit road sooner or with more laps to go, because then you can pit, but you're increasing the length of time going by where you could get screwed by that strategy, I guess. Although you don't go a lap down at the Roval.
They could do the thing like they do with competition causes where you can't put fuel in the car until that lap.
Yeah. I wouldn't
Y'all
be
get awful creative.
I wouldn't be opposed to them trying to do something else, but I'm just glad they got the stage breaks back. Why are people so sad about stage breaks coming back? I don't get that. I mean, I guess if you're a racing purist and you really like watching a road course go green to checkered without any cautions, but I mean, stage breaks are a good thing.
I rather liked it. I thought Indy was a fantastic race because I was there, right? And I saw the strategy playing out in the pit stops and different times, and guys literally, especially when I would think about the actual Indy race itself, when guys were literally coming out from pit road, blending onto the track like a half a second before the guy they needed to get out in front of, or half a second right after, blending right after. It was just fantastic to see that in person. I realized that the TV audience is going to miss out on a lot of that stuff. But I thought I do think it makes for great racing. It's just all about how it's, played out on the television drama or not. You know what I mean? I think that falls into a lot of the announcers, and are they doing a good job capturing the story?
Yeah, it does.
That's hard.
Yeah. Well, we got to try and predict some winners at Texas. But before we do that, we are going to let Checky guess about the good race poll, since Willie and I both got counterfeited by the Hamlin podcast, which I was listening to it and I had my phone on my counter and I heard him make the comment about the poll and I was reaching for my phone and trying to hit the click ahead button, but I didn't click it in time.
So quick.
All right. Okay. So before I give my thoughts on that, though, we got to let Checky take her shot.
Yeah, let me guess because I win regardless of what I say. Even though Hoppy says I don't, but whatever. So I get what Hoppy had said. After the race, he was disappointed. It wasn't the same, even though his driver made it through by the skin of his teeth. It just wasn't a typical Bristol race. I don't know why. Maybe the weather had a little bit of a damper on it and the not passing as much. I thought it was a good race, but not the expectations are so high for Bristol cutoff that it's, this kind of fell flat in comparison, even though obviously it was a great win for Denny, a solid win for him. It was dramatic with Harvick going out, the way that happened. I feel like there were a lot of good storylines throughout, but still not quite the typical race. I would like to vote it high, but I think other people are going to vote it low. And I think all of the people who hate Denny who do the poll are going to vote low. So I think my vote is going to be a little bit lower than I would like it to be. So I think it's better than this number that I'm going to tell you, but I think the fans are gonna shoot it a little low. So I'm going to go with a 73-6 is where I land.
73-6. Well, you didn't go low enough. It's a 61-6, Checky.
Damn, that's What do you guys think about that? I think that's way too low. I mean, I know it's not as exciting as it could have been, but that's not fair.
It's possible to say what I would have guessed. In fact, maybe I'll start writing my guess down sooner just so I can not get counterfeitaed.
Yeah.
But so that at least I've got a guess, if nothing else. But I think I would have gone. I probably would have gone in the 60s because I thought it was not a very good race. And here's the thing. Here's the interesting thing. Do either of you remember what last Bristol was a year ago, last fall?
I don't remember.
Was it worse than that?
It was a 60.3.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, damn.
So welcome to Next Gen at Bristol. And hey, we're going to run 2 of these 60 pointers next year and get rid of the dirt because people are idiots and they think that dirt is dumb at Bristol because they'd like to have another. In the spring, it won't even be the playoff drama. So maybe we can get in the 40s or 50s. It's good to have goals.
But maybe they will have done something amazing to the short track package. Maybe.
Like figured out how to put the old tires on the car, right, Willie?
Exactly. I was thinking that.
Give me back my old tires.
Give me back my old car.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to try and predict some winners at Texas. We failed again to predict the winner. I picked the 4-car, which sounded good at the time. Checky, you went with Kyle Busch, who was also a non-factor in that race. And then Willie had Christopher Buescher, who had a shot, but couldn't quite get it done. So now we got to try and figure out who will win Texas. Willie, you always get the honor of picking first, buddy.
All right. We'll go Christopher Gill. This time I'll give you Christopher Bell.
Are you going Bell? Interesting.
Okay.
I don't see that one happening because Bell is already mistake prone enough, and Texas is going to be an even easier place to have a mistake. But he's definitely got speed occasionally, so he could do it. He could do it. Now I got to figure out who I'm picking. Honestly, gosh. This is a tricky one.
Not that tricky. There's only so many Hendrick and Gibbs drivers.
Yeah, but you know what? We don't run 2 Texas races anymore, and it's hard to Hendrick seems to have lost a step compared to the beginning of the year on tracks like this. So, and I didn't do any of my research in advance because I think it would be easy to pick Byron for this race, but I don't know about all that. So I'm going to say more like somebody who's already fast recently. At Kansas, maybe. I just don't think Tyler Reddick could do it again. And I don't think Bubba will do it. And, Denny Hamlin is as hot as they come right now, and he's blasted those 6-shooters many times in the past. So I just think I'm gonna stick with the hot hand here, and I'm gonna go Denny.
Okay. It's hard to argue with that. He's got the momentum, right?
Yeah, I mean, I picked him at Kansas and he lost, and then I didn't pick him last week and he won. So I'm pretty sure I'm jinxing him.
Okay. So we're in a new round, and I'm gonna double back to a guy that I feel like has the goods to go all the way. I kind of want to go out on a limb with this other guy because I'm just compelled because of how well they've been doing, but I have to go back to the basics.
Let me translate it, Checky, just to see if I'm right.
Yes. Oh, are you guessing my picks?
Yes, I have enough information at this point. You'd like to pick Keselowski, but you're going with Larson.
100%. Good job, AI, ChatGPT.
You got to check
Hoppy is my very own ChatGPT.
I speak Checky.
Solid. Woo woo. Good job, Hoppy. Very impressive.
All right. Yeah, I feel you on that. Larson has definitely been, he showed up to race now. So he was kind of sleeping before the playoffs, but he definitely seems to want to be a factor. So nothing will beat when Larson made the next round of the playoffs a few years ago, limping through the whole last lap with a flat tire at the Roval, bouncing off the wall.
He made it by 1 point, right?
And made it by 1 point. Tied, and he won the tiebreaker or something.
That is crazy. Let's not do that again.
That was nuts. All right, so we're going to Texas. I don't know if they'll have more sticky stuff down or what the plan is, but hopefully it will be interesting. And we all need to recognize that for these races to be interesting right now, we need cautions. Cautions breed cautions. One headline I got that I wanted to shout out was that old Daniel Suarez better be feeling a little bit more heat in the seat after this past week, where Trackhouse announced not only did they sign SVG as a development driver running in all 3 series next year, but they signed Zane Smith too. And so you got to be kind of looking around if you're Daniel going, I don't see enough charters laying around at Trackhouse to support this many drivers in the future. So what we got here is tryouts, as they say.
Right.
And, Daniel won a race, yeah, but I just think of, Justin Marks, telling the story about how he recruited Daniel there and said, you're our guy. We're going to build this team around you, you tell us exactly what you need. We're going to, and I'm all for, trying to get the best out of a driver by doing that. But at some point, I wonder how Justin Marks has to start, walking that back just a little bit or staying a little bit more silent on it. Because the reality is you got these other guys that you want to put into a car, like clearly Suarez is going to be the one to get cut.
Yeah, I mean, performance, right? I mean, even if SCG is going to be, he's going to even do some ARCA, which is very interesting to me. Because I wanted to go back to that point, because this whole announcement that you're alluding to, Hoppy, is crazy, right? So yeah, we're talking about Trackhouse signing a driver, but Spire buys the Live Fast Motorsports charter and just for some historical reference, because this was really interesting, $13.5 million for reference is what 23XI paid for their charter back in
AKA 2311,
right? And now the asking price, or maybe not the asking price, but the selling price was $40 million. Holy hell! So Spire buys their charter for $40 million. Trackhouse is the one who signs Zane. They're having an alliance. Spire is with Trackhouse, but it's only for that chartered car, which I'm very intrigued by that whole situation. Trackhouse is claiming Zane, and he's going to be doing all the things in all their meetings, yada yada. And then Live Fast, by the way, the one whose charter was bought, will continue to race in a non-chartered car in a part-time role. So super interesting stuff. That's just wild deal there. Lots of pieces and parts moving in there.
Yeah, it's getting interesting. And 40 million, was the number that people had thrown out tens of millions of dollars as the value for a charter, and doing a deal at that level. It seemed to me like a number like that comes about from, they expressed interest in it to probably several teams. BJ McLeod was probably the one, willing to say at some point, or they said to BJ McLeod, name your number. McLeod's like 40 mil. And they're like, deal. Right. And he's like, wait, what?
Here, sign this.
Did you say
just
deal?
Like Yellowstone. That was in the Yellowstone thing. They did that. What is this? What do you want for your house? Throw me a price. No, I don't want to sell. No, throw me a price. $9 million. Here's your check. They just did that. What? We just moved it. Yeah, crazy. So Yeah, that's pretty wild. 40 mil, man. And you know who I really feel bad for is not Swervez, but is Dale Jr. because we know he's not paying $40 million for a charter. It's just we're never
Hell
going to
no.
see a Dale Jr. Cup team at this rate. So
No, but
it's like
right
the housing
now,
market for NASCAR.
but the thing is this is a bubble moment. I'm not saying charter prices can't keep going up. I'm just saying right now is max speculation bubble effect because nobody wants to sell a charter before the new TV deal and they know what's
Right.
happening. And so there's just no supply. And so that's part of the problem is if you're BJ McLeod and you got that charter and you're thinking, wow, this could become worth even more when you price in the TV deal, then of course they were going to have to pay a premium for it. But that doesn't mean it's going to really be worth that much once the TV. It's like, buy the hype, sell the news is what they say. So, I think McLeod did the right thing by getting that 40 mil while he could, because it wouldn't surprise me if future charters were not that expensive after the TV deal's done. But even so, yeah, it's crazy. And Denny made some good points on his podcast today about this deal, saying that he didn't know, what else was structured into that deal because there could have been, other parts or terms of the deal that made 40 million make more sense when you kind of factor in the other things that, went into the deal, whatever those might be. So I think that's a good point too. You don't know, but I think, NASCAR is happy that this deal went down and maybe they had a role in influencing it going down or something like that, because it kind of makes them look like they've got the leverage and that charters are worth a bunch of money. And why aren't you happy with that, team owners, that your charters are worth so much money? You don't need more, revenue just to, participate. Your charters are already worth way more. So I could see, it wouldn't surprise me if there was some sort of political agenda from the NASCAR side, kind of being sort of very supportive of a deal of this value going through right now.
Supportive in a financial sense, like we'll go ahead and kick
influential
in 15 or 20 of that million, so you don't have to, but nobody can know. It's like I'm a silent partner.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? I'm saying they're definitely not disappointed it went down.
Yeah. Woo. Crazy. That is some crazy shit.
Willie, you got your tinfoil hat on yet?
I'm ready.
All right, Willie, what's the headline you got for this week?
Headline I've got. Yeah, you didn't tell me there's gonna be homework.
Well, he gave us his breaking news headline that about threw the podcast off completely. I was up in arms over that.
Yeah.
He created, what is that? Kerfluffle?
Yeah.
You created a kerfluffle, Willie.
I'm serving it up for you here, but just think mayo, Willie.
Yeah, think of fire. Fire and mayonnaise.
Think charred mayo, the smell of burnt mayo.
I don't know what that smells like, but it's
talking about Dale Jr. He did what was that, Talladega Nights?
Except he actually was on fire.
He should have if he would have taken off his suit, would you think he had tighty whities on?
No.
He should have done that. That would have been funny as hell.
Oh my gosh. He would not do that. That would have been funny though. Poor Junior. I felt terrible for him because not obviously he had a great car and was doing really well and would have had a good finish, but besides that, dude had an issue with fire before in his life and it did not go well. Now, granted, this worked out very differently and it wasn't anything like that, but like that has to be concerning to say the least, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
pulled him out of the car.
Good Lord. Yeah, that's just, I can't even imagine how tough that would have been.
No, and it was combined with the fact that Junior was competitive all night. He was running right on the top three. And, he was legit, in consideration to win the race.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. In the other Xfinity races he's ran, he hasn't been, in position like that to get it done, and to do that
Right.
at Bristol like that, and to run that
For
strong all
sure.
race, that was awesome and so anticlimactic to have it just go up in flames. The other thought I had was, what is Amy thinking watching that on the couch? You know,
Yeah, this is not good for our chances of watching him run there again, or just in general. All right, so what was it? What was the final verdict or outcome as to why this happened? What was it that was on fire?
I
I
didn't
mean,
hear
I'll leave you know,
anything
Junior.
definite. It sounded like some sort of electrical issue that, like
Okay.
set off a fire, near his feet.
I bet it was like a oil or fuel line came off.
Okay.
But the thing is, there wasn't like a ton of flames. It was weird. I mean, there
Almost
was smoke,
like a smoldery.
Something
yeah,
wrong with the transmission. It was like it's so bad it came through the shifter boot.
yeah, maybe.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's such a thing as like good fire to have. I mean, no fire is good, but obviously he was not injured, and then thankful for that. I hope. I can't help, because he seems genuinely excited, right, to be racing, and he seems like he's happy to do it. I'm sure he wouldn't want to do it every single weekend again. Like, that's just such a grind, but it's fun. He's having a good time. He's competitive. He's got the talent. Let him do it. And then I do worry about something like that and the danger aspect, and how the wife might kind of put the kibosh on that, which makes me sad, because he loves it. Let him do it. It's not like he's doing it all the time. And I guess that was just, I hope, and I hope he wants to after that, because who wants to deal with that shit? That's, God, fire's a game changer, man. That's scary shit.
Yeah, and it's not something. It's so odd, You don't see a driver's fire suit being charred ever.
Yeah.
So that was weird. But I have a feeling, there's some conversations happening in the Junior household.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that goes. But if I'm Junior, my argument is, look, like, obviously the sport is still dangerous, but the reason he's running these small tracks is because your risks are mitigated in multiple directions. So, like, when he had this problem, it wasn't but 2 seconds for him to pull onto pit road at Bristol. Like, you're at Bristol, you're basically always passing a pit road entrance. So
Right.
I would say that kind of worked as intended. He had a problem. He got right on the pit road. They yanked him out of the car, and he's fine. Because if he catches on fire at 180 miles per hour at Texas, it's a different situation.
For sure. Man. Poor Junior. Glad he's okay. Super glad he's okay. Glad to see him run competitively. Hope he had a good time up until that point. And hope we'll be back.
He was scooting that Mayo train, boy. All right, Checky, what other headlines you got for us?
Well, they're probably going to pale in comparison, because those were some, we've already talked about some pretty exciting ones, but I'll do the best I can here. We've got another driver announcement, which didn't really make any of us too excited. None of one was doing backflips when I told them that Hemrick was moving up the chain in RCR to the 31, right? Y'all didn't really seem to get too excited about that one, but nonetheless, big change for him. Congrats to him. I always get him confused still, and I don't know why, with Reddick. So if they're actually in the same series next year and I call them the wrong name, I apologize in advance, but I might do it. Let's see, some other somewhat exciting news. We're going back to the LA Coliseum for the Clash again on February 4th. Fans, mark your calendar. And not only are we going back there again, but there will be a companion series racing with them. So it's not an isolated event. It will be the NASCAR Mexico Series.
Oh, I like it.
There you go. So that'll be nice to have it not be a standalone. So, and they'll probably have the concerts and all that good stuff as well. So there you go. Fans, again, February 4th. Mark it down. Scott Riggs' kid, Lane, is still gangbusters in his series. He's running cars. He's running trucks, a few trucks here and there. He just has his first Xfinity Series race coming up. He will be making his debut at Texas this weekend and the first of 3 races for his sponsors. So sounds exciting for him. Good luck to Lane. I'm sure he'll do very well. So that is pretty cool. And what else? Oh, we already talked about the stage break. So yeah, that's what I got. Those are the things that we didn't already talk about. Oh, I can tell you guys that I was disappointed, as all of Ryan's fans were, that their race was canceled on Friday. They were going to be racing Smart Modifieds on Sunday, somewhere in Virginia, I think it was, and they were canceled because of the bad weather coming in. So they didn't even have a chance. So on to another race.
Yes. Well, I can also say, if you're interested in some other good reading, just search Twitter for Danica Patrick right now.
Yeah. What'd you say, Willie?
Is she getting killed on there?
Oh, yeah. She's getting...
Is she? Yeah.
She's picture from Burning Man with the stars.
Yeah. One post I just read highlighted the fact that Martin Truex Jr. Has 1 Cup championship, and Danica Patrick has 0 top 5s in her entire NASCAR career.
Yeah. Yeah, she, again, just poor taste, poor decision. She should have had a media team who said, wait, what are you sending? Oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Just it's like when if you write an email and you shouldn't send the email, just write an email, but to nobody, or write it to yourself. Like, send it to yourself, and because you're going to feel better when you send it, right? Push the send button and boom, off it goes. And you're like, ah. But like, don't actually send it to somebody, right? Same thing. You just got to exercise some discretion, people. I'm sorry. Just, yeah, poor taste. That's all I can say about that.
This post says, Danica Patrick is like that one toxic ex who hates on every relationship because all her former relationships ended with the other person in a better spot. Oh, wait, that's just accurate. And then they got a picture of Stenhouse winning a race and Aaron Rodgers smiling with his trophy.
Right. Well, and both of them are engaged / married. So
yes,
there you go. Ah, well. Keep on keeping on, Danica. Just stay not in the NASCAR hemisphere, and I would be totally cool with that. But somehow she keeps sneaking back in. Thanks a lot, Willie. We got to talk a little bit, just super quick, about the other playoffs going on, right? We've got truck playoffs, we've got Xfinity playoffs. Corey Heim won at Bristol, and I believe it was Eckes, right? Christian Eckes that was kind of killing everybody in that race, but Corey made a late pass and brought home the win. He is first in the playoffs, followed by Christian, then Carson Hocevar, Enfinger, Zane Smith, who we talked about earlier, right? Gonna come into the Cup Series next year. Ben Rhodes, Nick Sanchez, and Ty Majeski are the playoff folks for the trucks. And for Xfinity, Allgaier wins. He is first in the playoffs for Xfinity, along with John Hunter, Cole Custer, Austin Hill. There's a couple Smiths. We got Chandler in there, as well as Sammy, with Daniel between those two, and Sheldon Creed. So those are what's going on with the Xfinity playoffs. So exciting stuff for everybody. Yeah. And what do we got? We said we have Texas, we've got Charlotte, and we've got what? Vegas in this round? Is that what we're doing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Vegas. Okay. Alrighty.
It's Vegas. What are we talking about?
Yeah. Texas Dega Roval.
Texas Dega Roval. Okay.
Texas Dega Roval.
All right.
It's going to get interesting. I'll tell you this, as the standings are reset now, this round gets seriously scrappy because Chastain, Keselowski, Blaney, and Wallace are all on the outside looking in. And they're trying to take spots away from people like Reddick, Bell, Busch, Buescher, Larson. Larson's only plus 12 on the cutoff, y'all.
Hush. You hush. That's why he's going to win this weekend in advance. So just.
Yeah, he certainly can. But he better not have one of those Talladega DNFs coming around the corner. Because that's why I thought he would get eliminated in this round, was because of Talladega. If he doesn't win at Texas, there's a very good chance he doesn't survive, without a wreck in in Dega, and he's not going to freaking go out there and win the Roval either. So we shall see.
Do you guys want to tell me who you think is going out this round? Are you prepared to do that?
I didn't write a list, but I'm going to stick with my feelings that it's Larson, Reddick, Blaney, and Wallace.
Okay. Man. And Blaney's he's been struggling, so I think it'd be hard pressed for him to stay in. I would love for him to, but I don't see him.
He could win Dega, but that's all he's got going. Blaney and Wallace both and Keselowski for that matter. All three of those guys that are on the outside looking in right now, they're all looking at Talladega going, "Yep, let's go get that one."
Yeah, I have Larson moving through. Of course, we already know that. I feel like the guys in the back, Wallace is going to be out. I do think Blaney's going to be out. I mean, obviously he could win at Dega for sure. And honestly, even he's done well at the Roval. I've seen him do well. He's not putting it together. He just doesn't have everything falling into place. So I think he's out. I do think BK is going in. Chastain is out. And then my hold up or my hang up was around the Bell Reddick situation. One of those two guys is out for me. So I'm still having a really hard time with that, but I guess I'll commit to Bell. I'll say Bell will be out as opposed to your Reddick.
Yeah, he definitely could be too. So I think you could have a situation where, if Blaney or Wallace does win Talladega, then it's Bell who's out also. Because I don't really see Bell surviving. But Kyle Busch has had crappy luck too, so I haven't seen any reason to believe Kyle Busch is going to turn it around in this round. So honestly, the people that would be surprises if they went out in this round would just be Byron, Truex, Hamlin, and Buescher. I think everybody else would not surprise me. That's why they run the race, Checky.
What do you think, Willie? What you saying? Wake up, Willie.
Hold on. So I need to go to my NASCAR app.
No.
Nope. You could have been listening to us, but Byron, MPJ, Hamlin, Larson, Buescher, FKB, Bell, and Reddick are the top 8, and then Chastain, BK, Blaney, Wallace.
Willie, did you already forget that you predicted the 20 car to win at Texas? Don't forget that.
So I'm going to say Bubba Wallace is out. Ross Chastain, BK, and KFB.
Okay. All righty.
Well, I didn't write any of that down, so y'all just have to remember.
I did. Larson, Reddick, Blaney, Wallace for you.
Yeah.
I'm holding you to it. Sweet.
All right, y'all. Well, we're going to race our way through this week. Don't work too hard. I won't. And before you know it, we'll be seeing where the twists and turns takes us at Texas. The Texas two-step. Willie, Checky, y'all behave. This is Hoppy Mellow. I'm signing out. Y'all be good. You hear?
Thanks to our listeners.
We did it.
Let me see the track. Don't let them smoke in my way. That's what it takes to make a race driver stay. Swing out of my heart, Georgia. That's all I am. Just let me be our Georgia.
I did do that earlier. Thank you guys. It's been a little day. You just can't do that. You can, but why is she doing that? What does she get out of this other than advertisement? Like, people are going to read what she has to say. Even if it's true, I don't think it's like what you want to be known for saying. Like, what it's been how many days? One. It's been one day. Like, that's just in bad taste on her part as well.
She probably just like him for some other reason.
She what?
I'm assuming she just doesn't like him in general.
No, no. Yeah, no. Obviously, she made it. Yeah, she said like I didn't like him anyway. Now she really likes him less, which I don't love this statement. If that's his, I didn't actually read it from him. I didn't see like, but I presume that's exactly what she's replying to. It definitely lacks any kind of like emotion. Like it's very official, and someone else probably did write it, and he's like, okay. Like it doesn't feel like I don't know how many years they were together, but that just yeah. I do agree with her sentiment and that's like not a good statement, and it probably was written by a professional, but I don't think she needs to be the one to say that like the next day.
All right.